F1 RC racing is literally almost as exciting as watching the real thing, of course, but of course you are in the driver's seat. Well, you're on the driver's stand. So what I want to do is kind of demystify some of the things about F1 racing for beginners or average racers that are trying to get into this class. One of the things I want to talk about is the need for super high powered ESCs, motors, batteries, and that kind of stuff. And we're going to demonstrate that to you at the track. But first, let's talk about what we got here on the bench. I'm Chad, this is the Dorky and 40 RC channel. We're going to talk about some F1 action today. So what we have here, of course, is our beautiful X1 2024, the Xray F1 car. And recently I have been running the Hobbywing stock spec 2S version 2. This is the brand new one that came out a few months ago. When the technology was released, I was really excited about it. It had a lot of awesome stuff in it that I thought would help me. Variable PDM for your drive frequency, your brake frequency, and your drag brake frequency. All that stuff is super important with F1. It's really important with any kind of racing. Being able to manipulate those frequencies gives you a little bit more of an edge than just trying to do things like with gearing. For example, I gear for temperature and trigger feel, so I like to operate in a certain range of throttle. Then I go into my ESC and adjust things like punch and frequencies to get the punch and the speed that I am looking for. Finally, I will take either the dual rate down or up, depending upon the situation, to make the car more drivable. Now, if you haven't seen my explanation in my buggy video, I'll put a link to it right up here, kind of going over the reasons why I do not have the stock spec in here anymore and why we just went with the new Hobbywing Justock G3. Now, it's a 60 amp speed controller. Don't worry about that. It will hold up just fine. Trust me, it holds up in my buggy, and we'll be testing it tomorrow. And if I release this video, then you know that is all good. But the biggest reason that we went with the Justock, it's a good price, and I think combined with a 25.5 Justock motor, even though I'm running the R1 in here, I think it is more power than probably 80% of the people need out there. Now, these things are power monsters, but there is a lot of car here. Like, it is a lot to steer and maneuver and manipulate around the track. You are not going to need super power until you learn to drive this thing. So there's no sense in investing in a $120 Speedo when you can get yourself a motor and a matching speed controller for the same price. And then down the road, you can upgrade the motor, and if you want to, eventually the speed controller. But the Justock, I believe, is going to be great for everybody because it just doesn't have all of that foolery that you need. You have with the new one, you're able to adjust the drag brake percentages more, like finely tune them than you could in the older generation. It's more powerful. It's got the smart fan. You can hook up Wi-Fi to it. It does data logging now and all that kind of great stuff. It's got the fan to keep everything cool. It's a little big and it's a little chunky, as you can see. It takes up quite a space in there, so there's not much room for air. So I got mine all wired up here. It's got the separate power switch, which some people like. I like the button, of course, but it does make things easier to calibrate and all that kind of stuff. So that is the whole justification for the Justock. We've got it in here. Now let's go to the track and let's see how I do. I'm really also excited about the other feature that has built into it, which is called freewheeling. And what freewheeling does is it kind of is a drag brake before drag brake. So I'm really anxious to test that out to see how that is going to help me control my F1, because being a newer driver, it is very, it's all about hitting those lines, and anything that can decelerate me without decelerating me abruptly and upsetting the car is going to help me hit those lines. So let's see how we do. So the results are in. We'll take you to some live trackside action. This was my qualifier number 3 that I ran my fastest times in. So I was just chipping away at the car all day long, making a few little changes. I unfortunately shit the bed in the main and didn't do better. I made one change, went a little too heavy on the brake, so that really messed things up. But, you know, the proof is in the pudding. If you see me right here, my hot lap was a 9.766. You know, we've got some 9.5s, some 9.48s, 9.6s, and top 15 of me was a 10.15. So we've got some 9.7s, 9.8s. So definitely the problem, if you look at the consistency numbers, is in the driver and definitely not the ESC. So there was a few parts of the track that I definitely lost time on every single time, but overall everything just worked out totally fantastic. I'm glad that I made this change to this ESC, and I am going to be just keep chipping away at it and running this as long as I can until something better comes along, or something easier or cheaper, as you can see that I've tried to demonstrate in this video. But most importantly, it's all about improving the car and improving the driving. So I hope this helps some of you guys out. I'll let the race play out here if you guys want to finish watching it. Appreciate all of you, and peace.